Welcome everybody to the February full council meeting. Before we start, in case of a fire, the fire exits are there and there, and we'll meet over in the far side of the car park to do a roll call. We'll instate standing orders and commence with the first agenda item, which is 133, chair to elect a chair of the council. Do we have any proposals? Yes.
I'll propose Sophie. She's the vice chair already.
Any other proposals?
Proposal Murphy.
Do we have a seconder for either of those? Charles? We'll go with Charles first.
I'm happy to support you though. There's two of us, so.
Okay, right. So which one are you seconding?
I'll second you.
Okay, right. Do we have a seconder for Mark?
I don't think Mark wants to do it.
You don't want to do it, Mark?
Judging by the conversation I've just had, I would have been prepared to do it,
Okay,
but I'm not prepared to do it now.
right, fair enough. So we have a proposer and a seconder for myself. Do all those in favour? Vote for themselves, sorry.
Slowly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I don't think you can vote for yourself.
And
Okay.
Sophie would have a casting vote anyway if it was an equal vote. So
Why did that do this, Jan?
right, us 5 and
Votes against you?
you can do against, yeah. 3. You abstaining, Peter? So that's, if I'm right, there's 9 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so let's carry then. Sophie.
Okay, so item 134, vice chair, to elect a vice chair.
Sorry, I interrupt. Oh, God, it's fine. Take a mic.
Okay.
So could you sign? And 13.
13. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we'll commence with item 134, vice chair, to elect a vice chair of the council.
I would have elected you, so if you've gone for a job on there.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Do we have any other proposals?
If Mark's not interested, I would propose Rick.
Okay. Any other proposals other than Rick? No? Do we have a seconder for Rick? Yeah, Steve? All those in favour? Okay.
Are you registering against?
If you want, yeah.
If you want to. Yep. Tim, anybody else? No? Okay.
And then, so that's 7. Who's abstaining? Is anyone abstaining? Both of you. Okay. Okay. Do you want to swap yourselves around?
Or do you want me to just... It's probably easier.
I've got to move.
You've got to sit next to John, right?
I'm going to get a kick from the mum.
Oh, okay.
Motion made and ordered.
That's all right.
Yeah, put that in.
Could you sign that?
Thank you.
Then,
Pictures.
13.
Item 1 through 5, apologies to absence. To receive and accept apologies where valid reasons for absence have been given to the clerk prior to the meeting.
I've had apologies from Councillor Clive Farmer and District Councillor Alan Bill and District Councillor Tracy Carter.
Okay, thank you. Item 1 through 6, declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of interest in accordance with the requirements of the Localism Act of 2011 and to consider any request for dispensation in respect of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests in agenda items. Does anybody have any interest? No? Oh,
Give
yeah.
interest in item 140C.
Anybody else? If not, if you forget and need to do it at the time, just raise it at the time of the agenda item. Item 1 through 7, minutes. To resolve to approve as a correct record the notes of the meetings of the council held on the 16th of January 2023 and the 13th of January 2023 and to authorise the chair to sign the official minutes. Do we have a proposer and seconder, please?
Just one point, there's a name list of between it and the attendance.
Which
Which
set of
one?
minutes is that?
The full council,
Which one?
don't know.
No, which meetings is
The
it?
full
The
council.
the
Oh,
main
that's
meeting.
one.
I've just seen it. That's just the only thing.
Yes, Tim?
We'll move the minutes are not accurate record of proceedings that took place. There's nothing in those. I appreciate that within the meeting itself it wasn't dealt with, but I was told that the clerk would begin with everything that occurred during the public part of the hearing, and during the public part of the hearing I brought up several points, none of which appeared on the clerk's report.
You just can't have that part of the meetings for the public and you don't put councillors' information down.
Okay, so I believe that's because we put down questions that are asked by members of the public because you were a councillor making a statement during the public forum, that wasn't put in.
So none of these issues have been addressed. Then it's obviously not a clear record of what events took place. It's supposed to be minuted the events as they took place, and in fact this wouldn't be the case.
But do you just want to... Are we proposing an amendment to the minutes then?
You can't because the-
Well, there needs to be, because it's not an accurate representation of what actually took place.
So you're proposing that we amend the minutes to include the section, what you said in the meeting?
That's what we've
You
done.
can't because you can only include anything in the minutes that is one standing orders demonstrated and they weren't. What you said was in the public session and the only thing we put in the public session is members of the public and that comes in the clerk's report at the end. That's not part of the minutes at all. What you're here to approve is what took place.
So
between
this,
those
the
standing
issue
orders.
here is, Madam Chairman, the fact that I've tried to get this issue on the agenda several times and failed. The clerk was refused to put it on the agenda. These issues are outstanding. It's a festering sore within this. It goes to the very heart of the known principles, and we're getting no further forward. The fact of the matter is, I really don't want to make an issue of this Madam Chairman. I want to be out and move on.
So,
The problem is that I brought it up at the only place it was possible to bring it up
yeah,
was in the public forum, and the understanding was the clerk would then bring this and bring it to part of the minutes. Because it's not included as part of the minutes are not an accurate record of what actually
so
transpired.
if you would like to request an agenda item,
Yes.
if you'd like to send that to the clerk and myself, and you can
I've done
copy
this
the...
before,
Yes, I know, but if you'd like to do it again,
yes.
with exactly what agenda items you want, and then we can discuss that and put that on the next
You invited
agenda.
me to put it on the agenda.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Is that right?
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay. Right, do we have a proposer and seconder for the minutes then, please? Rachel, seconder? Steve, all those in favour? Okay. Thank you. That one's done.
That's that. That
Yep.
one. That's that one.
Okay. So item 138, clerk's report. Item A, to receive a report from the clerk.
Okay, so, the paperwork is down to the broker regarding moving the funds as per in the meeting of the 16th of January. The slide is being removed today in Carter's Park. Some of the paperwork has been received through the use of Carter's Park for the food festival. I've received an email from the Farmer Education Trust following communication of council's decision to say that their clerk is awaiting further advice. The tender for the windows of the cemetery chapels is on the government website and our website and social media with a closing date of the 27th of February at 5 o'clock. The application has been made to SHDC regarding the removal of condition 3 to the planning consent in relation to Carter's Park. The decision date is 14th of March. The experts have been emailed regarding Carter's Park charity and we're waiting to hear back from them. I actually heard back this afternoon. There is a meeting at SHDC regarding the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which all members have been invited to attend. And can I respectfully remind members of their attendance to meetings? We have had to cancel or postpone meetings due to non-attendance. All full council meeting dates are set in October for the next calendar year, and committee meetings are now set in advance. Important business of the council has to be delayed when this happens.
Thank you. And then item B, to receive an update on vacancies. We actually have an application for a co-option. So if we can amend the agenda item to include, yeah, to include the co-option of a new councillor. Do we have a proposal and a seconder for that? Peter, Rachel, all those in favour for the amendment? Okay. So the councillor, the member of the public who wants to be co-opted is sat at the back, Jamie Moore. Would you like to introduce yourself, Jamie, before we go to the vote?
Can we stand up?
You can do if you want to.
Yeah, I'm Jamie. Everyone knows me from James Carpets, I would have thought. And yeah, I just want to come on and see what I can do, see if I can put some points across and help out as best I can.
Thank you. Do we have a proposal and seconder for James to run the council? Tim, Steve, all those in favour? Right, thank you.
Applause. Round of applause from the public.
Would you like to come sit up?
Welcome, mate.
We've just got the paperwork to do briefly.
Could you sign the date on
Thank you.
Okay. Do you just want to continue about the update on the vacancy?
Yes, so we now have one vacancy for Hobbridge Road and now 5 for Town Ward.
Thank you. So,
Sorry, that's 6 because Sophia has resigned since.
6. Okay, 6 for Town Ward. Item C, to receive a report on the election process.
Okay, so the Deputy Clerk and I attended a clerk's election briefing at SHDC, which was run by the elections team and a representative from Wales. Firstly, we have to point out that neither myself or Karen are responsible for your paperwork or submitting your papers to SHDC. It is solely the responsibility of those candidates who wish to stand. The key dates you should know about are 23rd of March, nominations open. 4th of April at 4 o'clock is the deadline for the return of all nominations. The 4th of May is election day. The 9th of May, the new council takes office. The 15th of May is the annual meeting of the parish council and the first meeting of the new council. It should be noted that the chair of the council remains its chair even if they don't stand or if they lose their seat until the first agenda item to elect a chair of the annual meeting of the parish council. Myself as clerk and proper officer is responsible for ensuring that democracy is observed and that the election is widely advertised and targeted to all age groups, ethnic groups and individuals in the parish who qualify. We will be putting the details of qualification and disqualification on our Facebook page. As well as the clerk's briefings, SHDC are running some briefings both face-to-face and virtual for candidates. These dates have already been circulated to members and I urge anyone who qualifies to become a councillor to attend these. I can provide the details to any prospective candidates who are interested. I will send all councillors links to the documentation and go into further detail at next month's full council meeting. Candidates do not have to reside in the ward they wish to represent, however their nominees do. It should be noted the following, that there is new legislation which affects the May elections. In order to vote in person at a polling station, you will need to take photographic ID. This can be in the form of a passport, driving licence, bus pass, etc. These do not have to be in date but must be fairly recent. There are other ways to obtain voter ID which we will link to on our Facebook page. There are 18 seats available: Herne Ward 4, Drove Ward 1, St John's 1 and Town Ward, which is 12 seats. If any ward does not receive more candidate applications than there are seats, then this would be classed as an uncontested election and there will be no public vote for that ward. If insufficient candidates register and the council is not quorate, then another election process will be held in 35 days. If still not quorate, then the unitary council, in this case SHDC, would put councillors in until such time as the new councillors could be co-opted. The elections team at SHDC's boarding are extremely helpful and have asked us to pass on that they are there to assist all candidates if they require help. I will touch on this further next month, but PERDA, some of you will be familiar with this, however those that are not, the pre-election period, previously known as PERDA, describes the period of time immediately before elections or referendums when specific restrictions on communication activity are in place. The term heightened sensitivity is also used. The period is 23rd of March to the 4th of May. The Code of Recommended Practice on Local Authority Publicity is based around 7 principles to ensure that all communications activity is lawful, is cost-effective, is objective, is even-handed, is appropriate, has regard to equality and diversity, is issued with care during periods of heightened sensitivity. Thank you.
Thank you for that very detailed report, Jan. Item 139, terms of reference. Resolved to agree to add a clause to each committee terms of reference to say, if a committee is unable to meet due to being inquorate and execute its delegated powers, business to be transacted on the agenda can be placed on the agenda of another suitable meeting. So this is to ensure that important council business can take place as quickly as possible if the committee can't meet. Do we have any questions, or do we have a proposal and a seconder for that?
Obviously, can you just explain
Yes,
it to me,
Tim.
Madam Chairman? You're saying that, for instance, if something should occur within the Finance Committee, then that can then be dealt with by open spaces.
No, that's why it says another suitable meeting. So it could just mean bringing it to the next committee meeting if there's time. It could mean if it's something to do with purchasing an item, then it would be suitable to put that on the finance agenda. Or it could mean bringing it to full council.
Right, so effectively, if for instance it was a requirement for the open space to buy something, it could then go on to finance if they weren't available. So it would be something, you would have a situation where the PR, where IT committee, where it is, was suddenly having vacancies by open spaces.
No.
We never sort of
It would have to be really within their remit and a similar meeting. It can't just go on a random agenda.
So obviously my concern is that if you had a I'm not suggesting it would happen, but supposing you have a situation where nothing's recorded and it always lumped onto one particular committee agenda, and where this committee agenda was always sitting, I can see, you see the issues here.
The main thing would be bringing it to full council, where you may have given delegated powers to the planning committee, for example, to make agreements on planning responses. If they can't meet, then those planning responses can come to full council for agreement.
No problem with that.
Any other comments? Chance?
How often, so I'm aware of the fact that Jen was saying that with the committee meetings, obviously none of the people they run the meeting. I'm aware that obviously full council can have extraordinary meetings, like I think we had one about a week, 2 weeks ago. Can you do that with committees, and how frequently can that happen?
Yes, so you can call extraordinary meetings of committees and full council. Generally, each committee has one meeting a month. But for example, if they can't meet, you can look to reschedule that meeting. If they're not able to reschedule that meeting within a month, then we've now got the opportunity with this agreement to move their business to another suitable meeting so that we can keep agenda items going.
So it's a possibility if hypothetically events could meet, that they could have an extraordinary meeting like the next week?
Yes,
Okay.
but it just gives us that flexibility.
Right.
Yes, Mark?
In relation to the calling an extraordinary meeting, it's my belief that only the chair can call an extraordinary meeting, or a collection of, is it 2 or 3 councillors?
An extraordinary is the chair or 2 councillors.
Thank you.
Any other comments, or do we have a proposer and seconder? Yes, Rachel?
It's not something I'm very comfortable with at all. I'd rather we wait to see what size table we get in May and defer that to May.
Okay, I mean, the reason the agenda item came about is, for example, the planning committee, the PPS committee complete. And there are discussions about consultations, planning responses, one of which is about...
Reschedule at all?
No, it wasn't rescheduled. Yes, so there is one agenda item that's subject to this being agreed, which is the consultation down Park Road for the traffic restrictions. So that wouldn't be able to now be discussed then, and then we'd be past the deadline. So it's mainly for those items where there's a certain deadline to it being agreed.
Why wasn't it put on this agenda then? Because we're here now.
Sorry?
Why wasn't it put on this agenda? Because we're here now.
It's put on the agenda, but
It's on the agenda.
because the planning committee have delegated powers to do the response, that can't be brought to a full council meeting if they can't meet unless we agree that in this agenda item. If that makes sense.
So if we don't agree, that won't scrap.
Yeah, which means we can't comment on that consultation. Any other comments? Yes, Giles?
Yeah, so in terms of if an item is supposed to be discussed in a particular committee meeting and they can't meet, how is it decided where that will go? So, for example, obviously, I appreciate there's some quite obvious examples where we can buy something and goes to finance, but what if you do have a situation where like open spaces can't meet on a particular subject? What's unique to them?
So it has to be within their remit as a committee. Some of the remits overlap, some of them do not. For example, planning responses would only be able to then come to full council. They can't go to finance, for example. It could be that that's done at the finance committee. It can sometimes be that open spaces and health and safety matters overlap, depending on. So it's where those remits overlap, then it would be suitable to bring it to the agenda. You can't go outside of the terms of reference of that committee. They have to work.
Do we have like a guideline for that though?
Sorry?
Do we have like a specified guideline for that? I don't want to be awkward.
Yes,
just...
yeah, we have clear terms of reference for each committee which tells them what their responsibilities are and their delegated powers, which is the main bit that we're discussing within this agenda item. Yes, Mark?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but previously, if we had anybody that's on PPES were able to give their decisions or their feedback, to any planning application that came forward. So in relation to that, surely that can be actioned through the clerk's dedicated power, dedicated powers to be able to reply via that forum if they've already given feedback. If they've given their feedback, then we've got nothing to say on the matter.
Do you have delegated powers to be able to respond to planning applications or what?
I don't believe I do.
No. So currently, Jan doesn't have delegated powers. It's meant to be a committee or full council making those decisions. Because ultimately it's the council who's responding formally, not the clerk, obviously.
So in relation to this, if that point on the agenda is on here to be discussed anyway, we don't need the terms of reference because we're going to discuss it at the table.
No, we can't make that agreement that's on the agenda at the moment without this agreement being made, because the delegated powers have been given to the PPS committee. They were unable to meet, so unless we're enabling those delegated powers to be used in extenuating circumstances on another agenda, we're not able to make the agreement on the consultation tonight.
Can we then make it as a one-off, Madam Chairman?
No, unfortunately not. Yes, Rachel?
So the PPES have already got that in place, it can be brought to full council.
No, it's not in place that it can be brought to full council at the moment.
It's not at the moment.
No.
Just the way you speak, I thought it was already in place.
No. So if we don't make this agreement now, if it's agreed not to go ahead with that agenda item, then the consultation that is on the agenda for Park Road would not be able to be commented on because the time period would be out and PPS couldn't discuss it at that meeting because they couldn't meet.
It's just like when you said about full council giving a response, that's why
Yeah.
you've already got that delegated down to full council.
Yes, so we're agreeing to then be able to bring that delegated power to full council in the event that PPS can't meet, for example. That's the main
I just don't
example.
want spot, cemeteries to crop up in a place it shouldn't do.
No, it would have to be within the terms of reference of the committee in terms of their remit. You can't just start moving things around because that's the point of terms of reference. We can't do anything without them being on there.
Okay.
So given my learned colleagues' concerns about, say, the cemetery, what other committees would have any terms of reference to cover those?
Spends, I can understand, but I don't want them making a decision for another committee to go and buy something without open spaces being aware.
No, I mean, you would be aware of it because it would have to be on the agenda for that committee and then you weren't able to meet.
No, that's fine.
And it could also mean that you move it to your next committee meeting, for example, depending on what is most feasible. Any other comments? Yes,
So
Charles.
just one more. In the event, say, for hypothetically, say, open spaces makes a decision for PPES, what happens if PPES doesn't agree with it? So, say for example, like there's this, like they agree to a construction project or something minor, whatever, and they don't agree with it. Is there any recourse there?
I mean, I don't know why open spaces would make a decision for PPS,
Just
but
hypothetically.
hypothetically, the decisions have to be delegated, and these are decisions that are time sensitive, so can't wait.
Right.
If it can wait till the next committee meeting, it will wait.
That's not what Shaz means. If the relevant committee doesn't agree with what another committee has said, what happens? That's what he's getting at.
In the case of PPES, everybody in the council receives planning application anyway, and we
But
respond.
we're not on about just PBS, we're on about all committees.
Yeah.
No, but the decisions would only be taken where they can't wait till the next relevant committee meeting. And if the decision has to be made, it has to be made somehow in order for us to be able to function.
Yeah, but he's saying
So if they don't agree, it's realistically, you've got to be able to meet and function. So there may be times where a particular committee doesn't agree with a different decision, but if it's necessary for us to be able to function as a council, we've got to be able to do that.
so then that relevant committee would abide to what that other committee agreed. That's what I'm getting at.
If, for example, if the decision's taken at full council and you don't
That's
personally...
different, we're not on about full council.
No, but it can be at full council as well. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be.
but we're on about the two little committees, if one doesn't agree with what one said, what happens then?
Well, if the agreement's been made, the agreement's been made. As long
That's
as
the,
it's in their remit,
yeah, well, it
ultimately...
wouldn't be brought up if it wasn't in the
Yeah, other people in full council may not agree with what another committee does, but you have to go with it because that's the agreement. But it would only be done when it's necessary to do because it's time sensitive.
So it's more like an emergency protocol as opposed to something else.
It's not just something we're doing on a whim, it's to make sure that we can make the necessary agreements so we can function as a council. In the case that a committee can't meet for whatever reason.
Yeah, so the exception, not the rule.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Mark?
I wouldn't be happy in relation to each council, each committee. I think we should propose that we alter the agenda item to say PPS. That relates to the committee meeting, that relates to the point in the agenda, that solely relates to that one committee, because that's the one time sensitive at the moment, so that would be my proposal.
So that's a proposed amendment to the agenda item. Do we have a proposer for the original agenda item or not?
Just one more question on this. We do have a problem with this piece of firefighting. We've had umpteen extraordinary general meetings over the last almost hour because things have become rapidly time sensitive, largely because it hasn't been dealt with in the required period. I'm really concerned this could be at the end of the wedge for doing the same thing with most decision making at committee level. If it doesn't get made. I understand where you're coming from. I fully get it because we've got to make sure we can function with the council and we've got to have a protocol to deal with it. I fully agree with that. But I'm very concerned that we're going to be spending our time firefighting as we always are.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't need to use this. As long as people attend the meetings and they can go ahead, we'll never need to use this. So.
Can I just ask how many meetings haven't been able to go ahead in the last 12 months?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but PPES has had quite a few, and so has Open Spaces. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
All right, thank you.
Exactly my point, Madam Chairman. The fact is that it is a situation that is ongoing and we're not supposedly getting any better if we're having all these meetings being missed. We're going to have decisions being time sensitive, getting handled by the wrong people, and it should really come back to full council. In the event that it can't be dealt with by the committee, the default should be the full council, and it's normally only a couple of weeks away anyway.
Okay.
So I think that'd be the way to do it.
I mean, yes.
In that case, then, can we not alter the proposal to coming to full council in the event of?
And then in which case everybody's
So
got the
only
ability
ever
to
comes to
make a
full council if they can't meet.
Makes sense.
So,
Placed on the agenda
off full council. Yep, so we've got two proposed amendments. Do we have a seconder for either one? One is to only have it for PPS. The other amendment is to only bring it back to full council if that committee can't meet.
I'll second these.
I'll second the
Isabel's.
Yep, okay. Do we have a seconder for Mark's amendment or not?
I would prefer full council.
Okay, right. So we have a proposer and a seconder for amending the agenda item to only bring it back to the full council meeting if the committee can't meet. All those in favour of the amendment? Yeah. So then to agree the amended agenda item, to resolve to agree to add a clause to each committee terms of reference to say, if the committee is unable to meet due to being incorporate and execute its delegated powers, business to be transacted on the agenda can be placed on the next full council meeting. Yeah? Propose and a second for that, please. Yes? All those in favour? Yeah. Okay. Right. Agenda item 140, Finance and Admin Committee. Item A, to receive a report from the Chair of the Committee.
Just a very brief one this month. Normal monthly activities were all carried out, everything was good. All budgets were reviewed, and whilst we're in a good position, we still need to remain cautious, obviously. And it was agreed to recommend to full council to pay April invoices on the 2nd of May using the committee's delegated powers. This is because of the election timings. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So agenda item B, to note the bank balances as of 31st of January 2023 as follows. Account ending 4844, £3,000. Account ending 5394, £11,983.76. And account ending 01PC, £183,617.25. Agenda item C, to resolve to agree to authorise the payments for January of 2023 of £21,355.90 and to note the income for January of 2023 of £4,146.87. Do we have a proposal second of the payments, please? Yes, Rick?
I've got a couple of questions
Yes,
on the checklist.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still used to, I think people still should stand in the investigation. Obviously. Solar lights, where are they for?
They were the security lights that we've done for both the park and Coombe Chambers in order to give more light where the CCTV cameras are going to go and in any blind spots.
Yeah, I did wonder if that was there.
It's part of the sort of recommendations that came back from the police when they did their report on antisocial behaviour.
Fabulous. Boxes for Christmas tree decorations?
Yes.
How many decorations have we got?
Tons. You think we did that big tree, or
Yeah.
they did the big tree, so they're just all in nice plastic boxes now,
Where you gone?
stored away.
They're all in the same,
All in the
but
same.
we won't need to purchase any more Christmas decorations or
No.
boxes.
All
any of
boxes.
these. So,
Ever.
If you said, oh, we've got you some big cardboard boxes. Alright?
thank you, Rachel. Any other questions? No? Do we have a proposal and seconder then? For the payments? Yes, Rick? Seconder? Chaz? All those in favour? Thank you. Right, to resolve to agree the recommendation of the committee, the arrangements for paying April invoices. Do you want to explain? Do you?
Yes.
As you are,
So we have a situation that we've got an additional bank holiday in May, which is the coronation, which means that the new council doesn't take over until the 9th of May, as I explained earlier. But we do need to pay, so the finance committee can't meet until full council has met. But the old finance committee will be meeting on the 2nd of May, so it's to give them delegated powers to make the April payments so that people don't get paid late.
Same as what we do at Christmas. Similar.
Similar to what we did.
Yeah, and just in it because of the time constraints that we've got. Okay, so do we have a proposal and seconder then that needs to be done? Yeah, all those in favour? Thank you. Item E, to resolve to agree the recommendation of the committee regarding the banking arrangements. Okay, so there was a report in the drive about the banking arrangements. And that is because we have so many problems with changing the banking mandate when people change, is the recommendation that we keep the current signatories even if they're not on the new council until such times as a new mandate is put in place. So as we've got the election coming up and we don't know what's going to be happening, we can't have no signatories, and it takes an awful long time to get them changed. So until we know who the new council are, it's best to keep them in place.
Because I was on Monday. What happened?
You're on the CCLA one.
Right, okay.
Any questions?
I don't, no disrespect to Stephen, because you know I like Stephen. We should have ex-councillors on it.
Yes.
No, sorry, we can't take, I couldn't remove Stephen because the chair of the council has to be the person
Oh, no,
who
no.
instructs. So until
That's at the
today's
very
day,
end.
yeah.
Okay, do we have a proposal and seconder for this, please? Rick?
I'm not proposing this, it's still got his name on the first bit, so how can you agree?
No, so this is for in May. So now we've elected the chair, we can remove the previous chair from the banking mandate. That's not
You
a
can't
problem.
vote on something what's not going to be correct.
No, so that's just part of the report that Jan's given us background. The actual agenda item, the recommendation is to resolve to agree to keep the current signatories even if not on the new council until such time as the new mandate can be put into place.
I don't see why we've had to have ex-councillors on it.
Well,
That's what it says.
as an example, if none of the finance team and signatories get elected for the next council, the council can't pay anything through Barclays without a current signatory doing it. Barclays take, on average, about 7 or 8 weeks just to make one change. So that is why it's on. No other reason.
It's only because of the election and because we don't know who the councils will be until, and then when, as soon as we do know, it's going to take time to get it changed.
Done like this, but I'm the first person that's actually made it.
Oh, okay, so apparently Jan's the first person to actually make it an agenda item and do it officially.
Yes,
Because it's been normal practice. Yeah. Okay, do we have a proposal and seconder? Rick? Isabel? All those in favour? Thank you. Item F, to resolve to agree to move the following budgets as per the recommendations of the committee. So we have I, surplus 3,000 from Park Road Cemetery fees for grass cutting to the end of this financial year. Move insurance surplus from 4070, sorry, £600 to 4075, venue hire, £300, and 4080, stationery, £300. Insurance surplus from both Kubotas to repairs, £642. Surplus from council tax, 4605 is £500. To business rates, Hallgate, 4055, £500. Surplus cleaning supplies, 4690, £300. To cleaning, 4685, £300. 300 redecoration, 4700, £2,000. At Coomberrow to windows, 4696, £2,000. Use surplus events and PR budget for advertising and signs, £395.
Yeah, I'll pecuniary interest.
Mark?
In relation to the moving around of funds, have we missed the fact of the funds that will be needed to do the contractor for the tender that we put into place? That was discussed at the extraordinary meeting.
Yes, so that'll be on the next finance meeting. This was the last finance meeting where we discussed some surplus, but in order, we need to work out how much extra we'll be spending, and then we can review that at the next finance meeting to move the money around again.
Just purely a tidying up exercise.
Yeah, it always happens at this time of the year because we end up with surplus and some bit of an overspending on the budgets, and you have to formally agree to move that money over. You can't just do it. Any other comments? No? Proposed and seconded to move the funds over? Rick? Tim? All those in favour? Thank you.
I won't stretch it.
Sorry, can everyone show hands again? Sorry.
Yeah.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, item 141, open spaces, item A, to receive report from the chair of the committee.
I'll read out the report that I'm allowed to read out. My report has been amended. So external tree work has almost been completed. The slide is due to be removed by the supplier today, 13th of February. Slide 10 quotes cannot go out until it's been removed. The company that was offering to prune the roses cannot now do this, so the Open Spaces team will action this. There are still vacant plots available at Battlefield, and the waiting list has been exhausted. Permissions were given to allotment holder requests. Follow-up will be needed on the tree report in the nature reserve following Open Spaces team involvement. HPC has joined the Institute for Cemetery Information's management following recommendations in relation to advice and support. Overspend on the grass cutting budget was discussed, and additional funding has been ring-fenced out of the current surplus within the open spaces allocation subject to full council approval, which has usually been approved. Meeting with the contractor to be arranged mid-February to discuss a proposed start date to be agreed at the next open spaces meeting. Plan repairs to the newer Kubota to be postponed until after both machines have been externally serviced. That's the report.
Thank you, Mark. So item B is to resolve to agree to obtain prices for all open spaces projects for 2023-24 in line with the council's financial regulations. We've got a lot of projects coming up, and we need to really get prepared so we can start it as soon as 1st of April comes around. So we're all happy, proposed and seconded for the agenda item. Rick? Peter? All those in favour? Thank you. Agenda item 142, planning properties, emergency planning and speeding committee. Agenda item A, to receive report from the chair of the committee.
Okay, very short report then, we weren't able to meet, but I can report that the main roof of the chapels has now been completed and then started on the porches. And this week, last week rather, the contractor started on the windows upstairs at Coombray.
Just one update that's come in fairly recently regarding PPS. The letter that we did to South London District Council regarding the infrastructure, that included freedom of information requests. They haven't responded to the freedom of information request within the 20 working days. That's expired, and they haven't actually even acknowledged the letter. So we will be chasing that one as we haven't received any response. So agenda item B, to resolve to agree the quote for the installation of the defibrillator in the telephone box on High Street in line with the council's financial regulations. Oh, don't worry, I'll open it. So we've got several quotations for putting in the DFib, which will be brilliant. 1 second, just open these. Quotes. Obviously, we can't mention the names of the suppliers as it's an open session, but we've got 3 quotations, one at £192, one at £382.81, and one at £140, but they are not VAT registered. So, does anybody have any comments? Yes, yes.
Why is there such a wild price differential? Does it mean there's like a £200 difference between the bottom and the top?
Yes, I don't know if they've all been given the same specification. They've all had a chance to look at both the DFib and the telephone box, so these are the prices we've got back in. Peter?
The prices that we had for installation the whole beach drove were all around 150, so the top one is
A bit way off, yeah. Any other comments, or do we have a proposer for the cheapest price?
No,
No.
I don't know, because he didn't ask any questions about his quote. It's very basic in his wording,
Okay,
so I think that could change.
right.
So no, I don't agree with going on the cheapest this time.
So, do we have a proposal for one of the prices?
I'll go for the next one, I'll propose that.
The
If you
middle
read the
one
quotes
first?
individually, they are all worded so differently what they've responded.
Okay. So the proposal from Peter is to go with the second cheapest price, which is £192, based on the quotation received.
Madam Chair, I'm not really sure you can. You've got to make sure that all these people are suitably qualified. It's electrical installation. That is the main thing. They're going to a certain specification and to meet the nice requirements. I think that's the biggest issue, rather than going for the cheapest or the middle quote, just because one happens to be in the middle one.
We, without mentioning the name of the company, we do know the middle quote is suitably qualified.
Okay, that's fine.
I was going to say, I was going to answer that. I mean, I know all the...
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so the proposal is for the quote totaling £192. Do we have a seconder for that? Rachel, all those in favour? Thank you.
I think we should look at our wording on the responses very carefully.
Thank you, Rachel. So item C, to resolve to agree the council's response to the consultation regarding weighting restrictions on Park Road, Unnamed Road and Market Raising Way. So for a bit of background to this, we did request to have a pedestrian crossing in Park Road. Some members of the public then did a petition on pedestrian safety in Park Road after the crossing didn't meet the requirements. We have then had a consultation come back with a proposal from Lincolnshire County Council on some weighting restrictions in Park Road, which focuses around UAH School. We placed it on our Facebook page, and the comments from the members of the public are fairly clear, but does anybody around the table have any comments? Rachel?
When I responded to this within council, I didn't really get an answer. Because obviously the road inside belongs to the campus.
Yes.
Highways or us or anybody have no say on that road at all apart from the campus. I've had many discussions with the campus over this road before. So we can't even decide here about that road because it's nothing to do with us. So it's written down.
I
But we have no
believe
say.
they already have some weighting restrictions down that road anyway,
We
WO
can't enforce it.
but the police can't enforce anything because it's not adopted by highways.
No, please don't get it. So why we talk about it when It has to be.
It's obviously a proposal that Lincolnshire Highways feel they are able to make, which has then come through to us. That was the same comments that were made on Facebook by many members of the public, in the fact that it can't be enforced.
So it's wasting our time talking about that little bit, because unless you get a response from campus, we're not talking about anything here.
Does anybody else have any comments? Rick?
Oh, yeah. I'd just like to see it come all the way down to Park Lane personally. In the afternoon, it's a job to get out of Park Lane because they will park really close to the junction. You can't see left because the cars are parked in front of the cemetery.
So why doesn't the school utilise the car parks that are already down in that area?
One of the respondents on Facebook said you expect much harder to walk from UAH to one of the main car parks.
But I was speaking to parents who live out of town, and you've got a lot of staff parking along there as well.
Yeah.
But they have not made provisions for picking up and dropping off children.
No.
And you've got staff and an empty car park sitting there. They need to play their part as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I think based on the comments that were made by most members of the public, and obviously what we've already raised as a council, there's issues all the way along Park Road. This is only dealing with a small proportion of it. The actual restrictions down the unnamed road won't be able to be enforced anyway, and a lot of the members of the public feel it's only going to push the issue further along. And like you say, Rachel, the school do have a part to play in terms of their car parking provision.
Sorry, I
And
mean,
use it.
I brought this up before when they had their planning permission in, they built on another bit of their car park. So, you know, all for the school expanding, but they've got to think of their catchment area, what is coming in. They need to start staggering leaving times.
Do we have any other comments, or are we ready to summarise? No? So, based on the discussion then, a proposal that we would like to see the restrictions or work extended further along Park Road to tackle the issues all the way along. We've got concerns around the unnamed road because it's not enforceable. And we've also got concerns about the school providing enough car parking spaces in order to prevent the issue happening in the first place.
Or even alleviating the situation by staggering what they did through
Staggering
COVID.
starts time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a vast improvement.
Any other comments, or is that? No? Do we have a proposal and seconder for that response? Rachel? Rick? All those in favour? Okay, thank you. Okay, and then to resolve to agree to get quotes for the works to the safe at Coomberry Chambers in line with the council's financial regulations. I would like to propose that we amend this to take it into closed session under the Public Bodies Admissions Meeting Act 1960 due to the confidential nature of business to be transacted. Because commercial sensitivities discussing the storage of our documents, probably not best in open session.
Second.
Second it. All those in favour? Agreed, thank you. And then we've just got to agree to amend the order of the agenda to put this before item 146. Do we have a proposal and a seconder? All those in favour? Thank you. And then item D, to resolve to agree the request to decorate Office 3 at Coomberry Chambers by the tenant. They will be covering all the expenses. Sorry? At the front, near the front entrance.
Oh, no.
That one,
I
yeah.
couldn't work out which number three was.
That Tradex. Sorry.
So,
No mention of names.
Sorry.
no mention of names, no, Rick.
No.
So yes, the tenant is going to be covering all the expenses, they just would like permission to redecorate.
Are we deciding what colours they're putting in it, or are they just going to tell us?
They've specified, and it's
Is it-
neutral colours, it's
Yeah.
fine, nothing wacky. Do we have a proposal and seconder? Yeah. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 143, Events and PR Committee, agenda item A, to receive a report from the chair of the committee.
Get round to it. Find the right document. Okay, so the meeting with the traders and interested members of the public to discuss this year's Christmas fair was very productive, and several ideas were put forward, and we hope to have a second meeting to discuss it in more detail in March. The Easter duck hunt will take place again on Saturday the 8th of April from 11 till 3. This will follow the same format as last year, with clues in 3 areas and treats for the correct answers. We will be celebrating the coronation with Family Fun Day in Carter's Park on Sunday the 7th of May from 12 till 4. We have some activities booked, but we'll finalise the programme for the day at our next meeting. This year's calendar will feature old photographs of Holwich and the Holwich villages. We would like the public to submit a photo of something that brings back a memory for them and briefly outline what it means to them. And then the final 12 will be chosen. We will also be producing a leaflet with details of how to become a councillor at the May elections, and will be delivering to key areas. We have also planned 2 drop-in sessions for anyone interested in finding out more about the role of a councillor, and these will be on the 16th of March between 5:30 and 7:30, and the 22nd of March between 12 and 2, and these will both be at Coombe Chambers.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item B, to resolve to agree the price for the toilet hire for the car show. Carol's done a brilliant job at collating quite a few quotes for toilets. The people that we used last year are not available to do it. They were the best price last year. So we've got a variety of pricing depending on what they are able to deliver. The one that the events committee are recommending is £1,190 for 14 standard and 2 accessible and baby changing at Portaloos, and they include everything: cleaning, pick up, drop off, etc. at appropriate times. And that's the closest price, well, it's the cheapest price we could find and the closest one to the price from last year. So, do we have a proposal and a second of that? Make sure. Right, all those in favour? Thank you. Agenda item 144 is the council 4-year plan. To resolve to agree that the clerk, in conjunction with the committees, will commence a plan of objectives for the next council term as required by the clerk's silver course. So this will be coming up with a longer term plan of projects, objectives for each committee and the council as a whole. It's something Jan is required to do with her silver course, and it is something that we should be aiming for, especially as we've got a new term coming up in May. It's a brilliant time to start planning a bit further ahead. Yes, Rachel?
Sorry, me.
Yes?
Right, when I looked into this, it's mainly town councils. Well, it's all town councils, no parish councils have a 4-year plan. I couldn't find any.
So a town council and parish council exactly the same, just different name. I would say that's mainly because town councils are larger, so they're more likely to have a plan like this, but it is a requirement for anybody going through the Silca to have that 4-year plan, so it's something that's a bit more aspirational for a
I
council
would
to
understand
implement.
that, it just concerned me that I couldn't find any parish council linked to a 4-year plan.
Okay.
So that's why I thought I'd ask the question.
It's fair enough. Any other questions? No? Do we have a proposal and a seconder for that, please? Peter, Steve, all those in favour? Thank you. And agenda item 145, confirmation of date and venue of the next parish council meeting. Item A, to the next meeting of the parish council will be on Monday the 13th of March 2023 at the Methodist Hall, Albert Walk, Holwich. Proposal and a second, no, I don't think that will do. Don't need to put no. Sorry, ignore me. To resolve to agree to exclude the press and public and the Public Bodies Admissions Commission Act 1960 due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted. Proposal and second, please. All those in favour? Right. Meeting closed.